You were saying this right from the start, and now in your latest piece you've said, quote, admit, this is your advice to politicians, quote, admit you were shockingly wrong, give a proper heartfelt apology, and many of us can move on. We'll be angry still, but we'll move on. James, how likely is that to happen?
Well, I don't know. I mean, if you look in the U.S. again, all of the sort of nominees for the Republican Party, the new ones, they're not tainted by lockdowns. They didn't get through the nomination process. And so I think we're going to see both houses fall to the Republicans, and you have this new intake. Now, I don't want to wait for a new intake for the coalition to win again, because that's going to be a few election losses. So it's true. I mean, everyone in cabinet, from the ones we like, Dutton, Angus Taylor, where were they? Why didn't they? They always had the option of leaving cabinet and saying this is just too much thuggery. As I said in my article, the entire Human Rights Commission, all the top commissioners were appointed by the coalition. Not a peep, not a whisper during the sort of what Lord Sumption called the worst 300, the worst inroads on our civil liberties for 300 years. Nothing. Yeah. If they find a room at a university where 3 kids wander in and it's supposed to be for Aboriginals only, they'll bring the weight of the state, the administrative state, to bear on these kids. But they can't find a single thing to criticize about police, roughing up pregnant women or smashing people in the head or irrational rules that were crazy. And thuggish.
They should change the name of it to the Australian Woke Rights Commission, I think.
Trust me, as soon as there's something the Guardian cares about, the Human Rights Commission will be all over it.
Well,
you can count on that.
You can't, absolutely. Well, we've had a good example set, though, by the new Premier in Alberta, Danielle Smith. She's actually apologised on behalf of her predecessors, that is, for excluding the unvaccinated from general society, and she's more popular than ever, so it can be done.
Well, yes, but you won't fit in inner city Sydney when you go to the wine bar, because people will think you're anti-vax. You're not anti-vax when you say all of the old-fashioned vaccines, they stop you overwhelmingly from getting it. So rubella or chicken pox or whatever. This vaccine, which my wife and I took the first 2 shots of AstraZeneca, I'm not going to get any more because the data is now pretty clear that if you're under 70, and this is Professor Gupta at Oxford said, if you're under 60, there's no point in getting it. And, we had this rammed down our throats, and it's hard to trust the elite expert class. They've gotten so much wrong in the last 2 years. Why would you trust these people? And their first reaction when people question them is to silence you and censor you. They don't say, okay, let's look at the data. Science is about an interplay between views where you're trying to, see which views stand up in the mind-independent world of, double-blind testing and that sort of thing.
Well, not just science, but liberal democracy. It's the contest of ideas. But
the attitude of so many people, the attitude of so many people today seems to be just silence them, shut them down by big tech, or call them names, or point fingers at them. And this was the journalist class. They weren't curious. They didn't investigate. And this was true of Sky News. It was true of most of the Australian, with notable exceptions like Steve Watterson and Adam Creighton and a few others.
Yeah, Chris Kenny.
Chris Kenny was good on this stuff.
Yeah.
Alan Jones was great. But by and large, disgraceful, absolutely disgraceful.